Hello everyone, my name is Robert Lappins. I'm Head of Product Management at Nexiot. I believe in sustainability, technology, and innovation as a great means to bring value to billions of people worldwide. And today, I'm going to walk you through some of the ways you can be part of this journey as well. At Nexiot, we have built several products, and today we have a live demo of Nexiot Connect Intelligent Cloud. Before I continue with the presentation, I'd like to tell you a story of a case we've seen with one of our clients where asset visibility changed completely the way they look at their fleet and the business operations. This was a Dutch client, and they run a 3-month proof of concept before they became our clients, where they tracked assets on how they traveled through Netherlands. And after 3 months, we met them in their offices and showed them the data for the first time. They have never seen live tracking data before, and now they saw how their fleet actually is being utilized. After a few minutes in the demonstration, the whole room erupted in Dutch, and we could not understand a word of what's going on. This lasted for about 5 minutes until we asked the guys, okay, it's about time, we get looped in as well. Like, what's going on? And the guys told us for the first time they saw that some of their clients were actually using their assets way more than what they were actually reporting. So essentially, they were losing opportunities for additional revenue. Their assets were used much more, so obviously also increased maintenance costs as a result. But this was the first time they saw how just a simple solution can start to really get additional benefits to their top line. This is asset intelligence in a nutshell. It's the ability to remotely observe how your fleet is actually doing without calling in people, without calling in your railway undertakers or maintenance departments. You will have a complete view online on what's going on in field. And to get there, there's actually an intermediate step. There's a hardware element associated with enabling this visibility. At Nexiot, we produce hardware for tracking both intermodal containers and rail assets. You can find all about these devices online at our website. In a nutshell, they offer a maintenance-free operation for 6+ years. They have worldwide connectivity. They have ability to connect to external sensors, and they send information in real time every 5 minutes to the cloud platform. Okay, so let me show you the platform now. I will walk you through the Nexiot Intelligent Connect Cloud, and we're going to see how the interface allows you to access insights like where your assets are, what is the current status of your fleet, how to configure it for actionable insights, and more elements like this. So I'd like to introduce you to the Nexiot Connect experience, and it starts with the dashboard. The moment you log in, the very first thing you will see is the dashboard, which shows all your assets live. Our devices send data every 5 minutes, so for as long as assets are moving, you will see data updated in practically real time. Which is really the gold standard for the industry, for the clients who really need real-time visibility. However, if you have third-party data sources, that data can also be shown. Obviously, it's subject to the availability of the third-party data. These devices collect data all across the world. So we have intermodal devices that I showed earlier. These ones are showing data coming in from multiple places in the world. So we have them traveling everywhere. The rail devices are mostly traveling on the continents, not so much at sea to cross countries. And I'm going to actually start a demonstration with one of the rail assets. So here in France, in south of France, we have asset named Rail 1. Among that, we see a couple more things actually. We see these blue areas. These are the geofences. We have about 23 geofences, 23,000 geofences in the platform. And these are marking every single rail station in Europe. We can add more if needed, so this is entirely user customizable. Now let's click on Rail 1. Okay, So here we are looking at one of the rail assets. This one is currently in France. We can see it was starting its journey in Spain, and now it's in France. It traveled 204 kilometers. The route that was traveled is indicated in blue. So we actually do something we call map matching, which means that we track the route with extreme precision, and that's why there is this very extremely accurate mileage measurement as well. So mileage is something our clients use for condition-based maintenance. So if you know how much distance your assets were traveling, you can determine when to take assets out of the, let's say, out of the operation for optimizing its parts. For example, if your typical maintenance is scheduled based on time basis, let's say you do a wheel set maintenance every year or every 6 months, then based on the mileage you can actually reduce that to the actual amount the asset is being utilized. So our clients see significant savings from transitioning from a relatively old school model to this new approach. The second thing you will see is these blue areas here that you saw also on the dashboard. So these are geofences. Geofences allow our clients to start to optimize things around how they schedule things and how do they get, for example, automatic notifications as well. Geofence is an easy way to trigger an automatic action. So you can make actions that are automatically kickstarted when assets enter a geofence or leave, and that's one of the main ways our users use the system. Before I show a few more things on the asset details, I'd like to show you a case that is also intermodal. In this case, we're seeing an asset traveling from Netherlands to Helsinki area. And this is another thing we do. So we do a complete intermodal visibility. And what that means is, even if your asset is at sea, you will not lose track on your container. We have access to all the ships worldwide, and we can track, automatically associate your asset with the ship and then track the ship as well. So this way you have a completely a cross-modal view, whether it's on road, rail, or at sea. The other thing that I mentioned in the beginning of our discussion here was that these devices have built-in Bluetooth connectivity as well, so external sensor connectivity. And what that means is suddenly you can start to track what's inside the cargo itself as well. So some of our clients use things like temperature measurements. So in this case, you can see extremely accurate measurement of temperature. You can actually see the unloading event as a result of it. So the asset was at 35 Celsius, and at some point it was unloaded. Now, you can combine this with triggers and potentially find a way to get notified in case your potentially contents are overheating. There are contents which are self-heating as well. So for example, coal can be self-heating, and if you want to make sure that they're within safe parameters, you can set up automatic alerts. So back to the main view here in rail. So this is what we call a detail view. Again, the main thing here is to encourage visibility on a single asset level. You can start to generate events, as I mentioned before. You can create geofence events, temperature events. We have ways to create custom events as well. So some clients have multiple temperature sensors. We have sensors that measure safety elements like kingpin for rail cars. So there's a lot more opportunities here. Each asset can be associated with certain kind of metadata as well. A lot of our clients use ERP systems behind the scenes to feed master data in or out of this view. That way you can optimize things like whether the asset is rated for certain kind of load, whether there's certain kind of revision coming up. You can share this data also with your clients so they know when to expect certain kind of potentially downtime or asset switch time. The platform offers additionally things like sharing documents, there's reporting tools on the single asset level as well, and few administrative functions. Let's talk about events now. Events is an easy way to get information that is relevant across your fleet into inbox of, for example, a fleet manager. These events can be created through a very, very simple to use tool. You can simply click create an event, name it. You can set certain kind of condition that you're interested in, and then send it via an email. And once it is arriving to your inbox, you can also open it, for example, on your phone. So all the tools you're seeing here can be opened both on a desktop, on an iPad, or on a phone. So it really is made to be easy to use. So again, triggers, really a clever way to get actionable insights directly to your phone. There's a lot of power user tools here. For example, you can specify that triggers arrive only for specific assets or specific clients that you're also working with. That is all quite straightforward to manage from here. Once you have gathered the insights that are actionable on, let's say, an asset level or a group level, sometimes you also want to look at aggregate view of things. And so one of the challenges that you will often face is at the scale of, let's say, 10,000 assets or 100,000 assets, you will easily generate billions of data points a month. And one of the challenges is to really extract the relevant insights out of those 2 billion data points. In our experience, the relevant insights are actually less than 0.1%. And as a human, you can still not go through that by yourself. So what we offer are also reporting tools. On users' behalf, we actually aggregate insights. So there is a daily aggregation happening on various levels like mileage or utilization. Other things like shocks as well, right? So there's a lot of layers that we're collecting and enabling this visibility through very simple tools. Here's just some selection of the tools that we have. There's custom reports that we make for some clients as well. So there's a lot of opportunities. All of this data is also available via APIs. So when you're looking at some of the tools that you see here, this is not the extent to where, let's say, the possibilities lie. You can always move the system data that you see here back to your ERP if you have things like order management that you'd like to merge as well. So that's also a possibility. Our platform is built ground up to be as user-friendly as possible. We encourage various departments within the companies to use the platform. And we understand also the sensitivity of the data. By sharing it both internally and potentially externally, you want to sort of sandbox both the access but also scope of which assets should be visible. So for this reason, we have an element called groups and a very powerful user management system. So groups allow you to create groups that you can assign to specific client groups, client access to specific users, or to also add specific assets as well. So the idea is that maybe, let's say you have a fleet of 10,000 assets, and maybe you don't want to give access to all the 10,000 assets to your clients. Maybe you want to give a subfleet of maybe 50. So that you can quite easily do through the user interface here. You can add which assets they should see, and then if they log in, this is going to be the only thing they're going to see. So it's a completely sandboxed way to share the data. As a result, majority of our clients onboard not only their own internal teams, support teams, sales teams, technology teams as well to the product, but also their clients. So what this really enables is your clients to log in into a comprehensive portal, basically containing everything you see here, and be able to work with assets in real time. So you don't have to build your own platform if you don't want to. If you have the capacity, you can use the APIs to do that. But if you'd rather use a tool that is built ground up to solve these challenges for you and your clients, this is something you can benefit from out of the box. The user management allows you also adding things like permissions, so there's a lot of opportunity with that as well. Okay, so the platform is really built ground up to make it as easy as possible for the end user. We have various things for accessibility, as well as night mode in case of people who prefer to work like this. We have multiple languages, and we're translating the platform in new language on a regular basis. And the idea is to really make it easy for you to distribute the tools internally and also ultimately to your client. So the whole experience that we really believe in building is such that these tools should not require too much training. They should not require too much reading of manuals. We want to make things as easy as possible, as self-discoverable as possible. In fact, one of the comments we hear from our clients is that when we offer a training session, they typically come to hear more about the power user functionality and not so much about the basic elements we're showing here today, because that's really all built to be as simple as possible, just a few clicks away to get most of the insights you'd like to have. Okay, so this concludes what we have here for you today on the live demonstration, and we're gonna open the floor for Q&A. But just to clarify a little bit, so I am receiving questions coming in. If you don't know how to present a question, there is a section at the bottom of your screen where you can ask for a question. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a few questions that they already have received in the queue. And let's go ahead with the first one. Do the devices work at sea, and how does that work? So the devices that we have here, so this one is typically installed on a container. It will work wherever you have a cellular connectivity. So for example, if you have assets traveling, let's say on rail or on road, you will see instant visibility on the asset's travel path. But when the asset is at sea, we actually connect it to the databases of the ships worldwide. So we look at where the ship is. And behind the scenes, we make an automatic connection between an asset, so a container, a device, and a ship. Also, while the device is on the ship, you will normally see that there's data still generated. So for example, if you have sensors attached, we will still generate the data and collect it, but it will be logged in device memory until the real-time connectivity comes back. So that would typically be when the ship ends its journey and the container is unloaded. Okay, so we have a few more questions here. How often do the IoT sensors need to be changed? Do the software indicate the need of change? So all our devices have a battery life of 6 years plus guarantee. So also these ones, for example, for rail cars, will work for 6+ years. The sensors typically work for 10 years. And this is the guaranteed lifetime. So all our devices are charged by sun. So if it's a, for example, a gateway device, it harvests energy from the solar energy, so through a solar panel, and that's basically how we ensure that it lasts 6+. After 6 years are exceeded, the device will typically still run unless for example, network technology changes. So today, that's, for example, 2G, 3G, 4G. In 6 years, we have 5G, 6G, for example, then, that's something you would have to consider. Okay, let's go through the next question. If the company wants to equip a fleet, do you need to get your own SIM cards? So all the connectivity is bundled. So everything you saw today that popped up on the platform actually is already a built-in capability. So you don't need to buy additional subscription for SIM cards. That's all part of the offering. You can either buy the device and then the data subscription package from us, or just to buy the whole solution as a subscription package in general. So it depends on how your business plans. If it's more OPEX or CAPEX, there's two models that you can work with. But there's no additional tools needed from your side. By the way, also, very often the question about SIM cards comes from a concern that you need to have certain visibility in certain locations. So I want to clarify again that our devices do work worldwide. We have over 700 operator agreements with the roaming partner agreements, which means that you don't have to worry about them. Um, okay, next question I can see here. Can the data be captured and imported in tools like ERPs? Which ERPs do you support today? So at Nexit, we have two different APIs that you can use to extract data. So there is something we call something that is known as ITSS API, which is developed by a group called TIS. So if you're familiar with standards, rail standards in Europe, this is a standard way which allows you to extract information like real-time movements, for example, geofence events, sensor data, and so on. We also have a normal traditional REST API. And with the REST API, you can just access the data by pulling it in as you would normally work with any other API. In terms of existing systems that we integrate, so I would say majority of our clients today have their own sort of small systems that they either built in-house. Some of the bigger clients have systems like Oracle TMS, SAP as well. So we have integrations to those systems that clients build for their own needs. There's nothing that really, let's say, restricts that setup. Question here, security of data. So I assume the question is more about how do you ensure the security. So the data that we hold is all done according to ISO 27001 standards. So our organization is certified for basically data according to certain kind of quality standards for data protection and privacy. So your data stays isolated. Nobody can see your data. You saw in the interface certain kind of tools that you have, like the user and group management, which allows you to have control on who you share the data with. But other than that, your data is stored safely and securely according to the latest standards. We're audited for this very, very regularly. And so that's really the goal of us, to really make sure that you can trust with collecting and sharing your data on the platform. Okay, so there's a few more questions here. So in case you have a question that I haven't answered, just a reminder, there's a section and you can just add a question and we'll see it popping up here on the screen. All right, I have one more question here, which is about external sensors. So what sensors are supported on the device? So the device itself has very few sensors built in. So for example, this one has sensors for monitoring acceleration, so movement, and potentially things like shocks. So our clients use that quite a lot, but it also has a built-in Bluetooth module, which allows you to connect external sensors. So for example, if your business needs to monitor temperature, you can do that. If you transport, let's say, trailers, then we sell something like Kingpin monitor, which ensures safety of a trailer on a rail car. If you are looking for load sensors, so we build those. But also the interfaces we develop are actually quite open. So we're actively supporting standardization of these interfaces, which means if you have another vendor that you'd like to have in your portfolio, let's say from the sensor perspective, then that can be easily integrated. So we don't want to have a closed ecosystem. So that's a huge value proposition for most of our clients. Okay, let's see if there's one more question. How do you get access to the devices? Yeah, so you can reach out to us at nexit.com with few details on what you're most interested in. If you're interested in railcar monitoring, we have solution for that. If you're interested in monitoring a third-party fleet, for example, sometimes you use or the existing devices from somewhere else, and you just want to use the platform. You can also do that. So you just reach out to us on nexit.com. The typical approach is where we would walk through your use case and find out what's the best option for you as well. So some clients, as I mentioned before, would like to buy the devices. Some clients can only afford, let's say, the operational expense. So that's how their budget is structured. So that is quite flexible. Okay. Okay, I think that's it. I don't see any more active questions here. Um, no, so I think we went through all the questions. So in this case, I would like to thank you everyone for joining. If there's more things that you'd like to see, for example, power user functionality, or develop or co-develop some use cases together as well, feel free to just reach out to us at Nextyear.